Recording. Hello, everybody. Pardon me. Thank you for joining me today. Max is streaming an event today, so he's not able to join us. I'm going to be talking to Andre Grondin. Is that how I say your last name?
Yep. Andre Grondin. Yep, that's right.
Candidate for UCP Edmonton Director. Thank you so much for fitting us in today. These are busy days up to the AGM. I appreciate it.
No problem, buddy.
For starters, can you tell us a bit about yourself, like where you live and what your vocation is?
Yep. So I originally started off. I was born in Southern Ontario, in Burlington to be exact, and I studied economics and geology in Halifax. Worked all over Canada. I was originally an iron worker. Like kind of my family's all iron workers, boilermakers, stuff like that. And we would work on projects kind of all over Canada, from BC to Newfoundland to Iqaluit and everywhere in between. And after I went to university, worked as for different publicly traded mining companies all across Canada, doing a similar thing. Well, looking for certain rocks and logging data and kind of preparing data, trying to find mines and things like gold and iron ore and platinum and all these kinds of things. And eventually, kind of got tired of the road life. I've had started my business, and I've been in Edmonton for about 8 years now. I've got 2 young children, and they're in who are in elementary school in the area. We're in Southeast. The federal riding is Southeast, and the provincial riding is Meadows.
Nice. So is that a consulting business then that you have, like mining consulting, or?
Yeah. So we do a couple different things. We kind of assist with, companies that are operating on a particular claim, wherever that may be in Canada, or some are outside of Canada. We kind of get all of the logistic things and the geological things lined up for them, so that they're able to kind of be successful in in that sphere. So like the last one was one that we we had assets in northern Quebec and in Labrador, with critical minerals being what they are right now. It's been a pretty successful company. Got it listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and it's been just growing and going ever since. So
Isn't that great? I don't know a lot of people myself in the actual mining sector. It's all been oil and gas, so that's kind of neat to make your acquaintance.
Yeah.
Have you had experience serving on any kind of board?
Yeah, so I'm on my son's football team's board. We raise, it's nothing huge, but we raise close to $200,000 a year for all of the various levels for their participation. We've got lots of levels that are involved. I've been involved in private boards before. Have always been involved in different when we're starting a mining companies, or we're part of mining companies, we get involved in boards there as well. It's very important how boards are structured for the success of an organization. So that's I am familiar with boards and how they function and their purpose in many other respects. A little bit have some experience in the volunteer boards, which are a little bit different in how they function. But yes, I'm familiar with how they operate and what they need to be successful, and kind of everything like that. So,
do I recall from our chat in Edmonton that you're on the board for Ellerslie, or did I not remember that right?
Yeah, so not on Ellerslie. Like, I had been involved with the board in Ellerslie and had been active in a lot of the events. The most recent AGM was very interesting in Ellerslie, and so that's a discussion for another day. But
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, but I'm
All
on the
right.
EDA for Southeast, and I've been in kind of active and paying attention to these things and helping out in different areas for since I've done this kind of across the country, depending on where I am during certain election cycles. If it's if I'm in certain ridings where I can help, I've kind of done that in the past, and because this stuff is very important to me. So
Good to know. Why do you want to run for this position on the UCP board?
I think that we need, a change. We have, I've seen some of the boards in the ridings that I've been in Edmonton provincially, and we just haven't had success as UCP members, and I just think I am able to contribute to that. I think a lot of our problems are in our coordination, our communication amongst each other, and just how we handle each other, and how we're, you know, working together to advance an organization. I think that there's things that can be improved. So that's just why, and it's important that we make those improvements, and actively engage membership and our electorate to continue to advance, because you can't just win one and then coast, because that's how you lose pretty quick. So it's really important to stay on top of these things and be diligent and persistent, and continue to push forward and work at them.
For sure. Um, do you work for an Alberta MLA or for the UCP?
No.
No? All right. Well, that was easy. Are you aware of the time commitment that it takes to be a board director?
I am, yeah. I've spoken to previous board directors, and some of them I would consider more active than others, but their range, that I'm aiming for is, within somewhere in and about, 20 hours, kind of a month, depending on what is going on, right? And in certain times you need more, and certain times, well, between now and 2027, I think it's going to be more than that. That's required.
I think
But
you're right.
I think
I think you're right.
to get us back to, like, kind of, even, we're working out of a bit of a deficit at this point, just in how our party is structured and where we are structurally. So I think there's a lot of work to get just to a level that I would be comfortable with. So I think it's going to take
Great.
quite. Yeah.
What do you think the role of the UCP board is?
It's to communicate the will of the CAs and the electorate to leadership, the executive, basically, at the, in kind of the party level. So how the ministers and how Danielle and how everybody's kind of handling certain things. I believe the board is to make sure that everybody has their say, everybody's voice is being heard, and that they are, kind of have their say in how government functions and in how the party's functioning and operating. It's part of our democratic process for the members to maintain their, I guess, like, authority or standing within the kind of operations of the party.
I would agree with that. Do you have ideas on how to strengthen the relationships between the CAs in Edmonton and the provincial board?
I think it's just more communication and getting, we need to, with volunteer boards, it's tough, right? Because you have a lot of people going in a lot of different directions. Even in paid boards, it's hard enough to, when you have somebody that's making a lot of money coming to the table, and to be putting in that time, that effort, and then following up with their volunteers. I think it's just a matter of, like, building relationships over time, creating events that people want to go to and that people are coming out to, that will create that interface between the people and the the CAs and kind of everybody. So everybody's chatting in like not a formal, basically in a non-formal setting, so that when we do get to the formal settings, it's just kind of formalities, because we've already had those conversations at our events, and while we've been chatting offline, and so when we do kind of finally get there, we're all on the same page, and we can just kind of formalize everything at that point. But I think it's about events, communication, consistent relationship building, and just consistency is what it comes down to, I believe.
I think events are going to be key in all of this, and maximizing those. I'm curious to see what you come up with if you get on there.
Yeah, we've got some ideas. I got some ideas, and we've been talking there's a few, highly motivated friends that I've been chatting with kind of in the last little bit and throughout this campaign that, I'm excited to move ahead regardless of the outcome here. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, and we're kind of pushing at, so we can release. You'll see more of that stuff as time goes on here, and
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, me too.
Let's see. Do you have ideas on how to improve relations between urban and rural ridings?
Yeah, that one's going to be tough because the priorities of our urban ridings are much different than those, and the perspectives are much different than those of our urban and rural members. They have very different perspectives, very different priorities, and I think what it comes down to is about getting everybody in the same room. I was at an event this last week, and people were chatting and kind of eating together, and they're able to get on, find the similarities between the two groups, and we were able to kind of work on those common grounds and unite on those perspectives. So that's kind of what I think we need to do. I think it comes back to the same concepts that we discussed earlier, which are meetings, events, people meeting face to face, increasing building relationships, and kind of developing the infrastructure in which that organic network will just blossom on its own. Because if we do that right, then everything will just flow a lot better.
I think you're right. It's not unusual for the rural ridings to be sending the urban ones, the urban CAs, funding for signs and just existing and stuff like that. Yeah. So I think it's important to maintain those relationships until they can take off. Wouldn't it be great to see those city ridings take off?
Oh, yeah. And I
the think population base is there.
Yeah. There's a few that I think that we can. The other side, they're working hard out there, though, and we got to kind of match that intensity right away. Because even just this morning, for instance, I was out at an event, and they had tables set up, and they're collecting data. They're finding prospective members, and they're out there. And we got to match that intensity and that commitment to getting our volunteers out and getting coordinated. So that's what I want to kind of see and light a fire under some butts on here soon, because we got to get we're 18 months out and we got a lot to do. So
with a round of legislative candidate nominations around the corner, what are your suggestions for ensuring that the selection process is a fair and transparent one? And of course, as a director, you get a vote. Or maybe you'll end up on the LC or on the PCNC for candidate nominations. Do you have any thoughts about ensuring the fairness, making sure members know that it's open and fair?
Yeah, I've seen that before on other boards, right? Like with maybe communications not having gone as effectively as one would hope and expect. So I think that's the important part, right? Is making sure that these things are communicated, and those that support their nominees and have their nominees chosen, they need to stay on top of that as well. And from the other side, that with the boards, they need to fairly, respect all of the kind of dates that are required for how long before you could, when nomination meetings will be held and so on and so forth. So ensuring fairness is just, staying on top of everybody and kind of, we need to preserve the integrity of that process, because you can get people very upset when you don't. You got people that work their butts off all, for a long time to, in hopes that they're going to be a nominee, and because they believe in the ideas and they believe in the riding and their capabilities in that riding. It's critical that they're given that fair shot and that fair process, otherwise you're going to have disgruntled people, and that's how parties fall apart. That's how parties split up. That's how, division rises within parties. And that's not the road that we want to go down. So
100%.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
The hot button topic. Are you in favor of seeing an independence referendum put to Albertans?
So that's a great question, and it's one that I've been asked many times in the last little bit. And my response is this: I'm running for director for Edmonton. I think that concept, so my goal and mission is to see Edmonton win seats in the legislature. And I've been on lots of doors across Edmonton. The polling right now is not there. I think that's going to be, I think it's going to hurt us in Edmonton if we are, if we take that concept right now. And I think outside of it, just across the province, I don't know that the polling is there right now. In fact, I would say that I don't believe the polling is there right now. And I think that this needs to wait. Even if you are, strongly in favor of that. If the question is posed tomorrow and we don't have, and the numbers are not there, we don't have the numbers on whatever, whichever way you're trying to go, it's going to be shut. That conversation is going to be shut down, and it's going to be end of story. And so I think that's something that needs to get, I think we need to keep it, keep the discussion going. But I have heard some people who are very passionate about, wanting to make this a kind of hill that they're wanting to die on right now. And I don't think that that's the most prudent path to follow at this point. So that's kind of where I am on that one. We need to get things in order for 2020, beyond 2027. So that's where I sit on that one.
Thank you. And that leads to the final question. You've already alluded to election readiness. The provincial election is in 2027. Do you have a strategy or thoughts to make sure that the UCP ensures a victory in that election in Edmonton? I think, as I said, you've kind of alluded to it already, but if you have thoughts to add to that.
Yeah, I think we need to get our nominees lined up in place. Those nominees need to be strong. They need to start working, right now, because we need to start identifying supporters. We need to build our data sets and just continue to get out there. Like I said, today I saw there's tables set up outside of my kids' sporting events of the Orange team there with, having all kinds of volunteers out gathering. I saw them in the course of half an hour. They must have gathered 40, 50 signatures. And now they've got the data to continue to build their data set. And that's going to pay dividends at the election. So we need to start similarly getting out there, getting our volunteers, figuring out who our good volunteers are, and coordinating with all of our ridings to kind of achieve the goal that is at hand right now, which I think we all know what that is. Right?
I think you're right. It starts right now. It should have started long
months
time ago.
Yeah. The fight is not won at the fight is won before the bell, right? The same way that the championships are won in the off season. The fight's won before the bell, all that kind of stuff that those are just things that have been hammered into my brain since I was 6. And I think it's those mentalities that are ingrained in any successful team that all the work is done, like, in the, like, before the actual election is called, right? So
Well,
we
it sounds
gotta
like you're up
get
for the
it together.
challenge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I
Yeah.
I love this kind of stuff. So
Do you have any closing remarks to leave us with? Things that you'd like us to know about your thoughts in your campaign?
no, I mean, the one thing, just having, during this campaign here, that has been a very prominent discussion is the, this independence separation conversation, and I really want to emphasize that in Edmonton, if we're going to win any ridings, I believe that's going to be hurtful for Edmonton, and also that I don't believe the polls are there, the numbers are there, and a lot of these concepts, like, they're not fully matured at this point. And I don't want to see division. Like, I don't want to see the party, get into. I don't want to see people being in fights with each other. I've seen this in the municipal elections. We have these various conservative groups kind of working in various areas and with various ideas as to what it is to be, what they believe it means to be conservative. And we really, really need to be proactive in like fostering unity, because if we don't get this stuff under control, it's just gonna it's gonna hurt us, like, a lot. So we need to have these conversations and have tough conversations at the AGM, and fight it out, and argue whatever we need to do. Mind you, be careful who's around, and stuff like that. But we need to have these conversations as a family, and like I said, every family has their conflicts, but at the end of it, we need to come out united and get to work, and we need to do that, like, as of a week and a half, get it together, and focus on unity once we get all of our issues out, because nothing's perfect in any organization, and there are things that need to be improved. So yeah, we need to vocalize our frustrations and our concerns, and and however we need to do that. But at the end of the day, we need to kind of have a group hug, and grit and bear it, and get and move forward for this common goal that is something that we need to focus on. So because again, unity, like, that's something that I can't say and emphasize enough.
We do need to have more talks about it, no question, internally.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day with your family.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. I will do. It's yeah.
I really appreciate it, Andre. Thank you.
No problem. It's the last week of hunting season there this week, and next weekend we're going to be slammed. So we got some things to take care of here. But thank you so much, Bonnie.
All right, and thank you.
Okay. Ciao.